to 8. Respect. It's a word we've heard a lot over the past week, whether it was politicians lamenting the lack of it, or rioters demanding it, or police and passers-by talking about it. It was the word on everyone's lips.
They've got no respect for us. They're rude. I've got no respect for them. That's why, and I wonder why youth go mad. We're going mad for the simple fact you're not respecting us. When you respect us, we'll respect you back.
Here in London, you had people who were behaving with a complete absence of restraint and a complete lack of respect for the police.
Please respect the memory of our sons and the grief of our family and loved ones by staying away from trouble.
Well, 3 completely different uses of the word respect there. Both our next guests agree that respect is a central notion for communities across the spectrum. Rapper Maestro, who grew up in West London, voices frustration about social inequality and abuse of power in his single Aquarius. And Professor Gus John is the former special advisor to Boris Johnson on serious street violence. Morning to you both. We've been asking our viewers this morning what respect means. First of you, all you, Maestro, what does it mean for you, that particular word?
I mean, for me, it means, you know, obviously having respect for anybody, regardless of where they're from or who they are. And so in terms of, like, whether it's looking after people, opening the door for anybody, you know, sort of basic things like that. But I feel like, in a sense, it may have been, the value of the word may have been lost, or it feels like people only have respect now for their immediate family or immediate friends as opposed to anybody out there. But, you know, then we have to ask the question, why is that? Why do people feel like that?
Gus, has the meaning changed, and why is it so important?
Well, I think the meaning has not changed universally. The word has been appropriated by particular groups, adults and young people, and used in all sorts of peculiar and bizarre ways. Why? Largely because, and particularly those involved in what's generally known as street culture, there is a sense that the society, the wider society, does not respect them. As the young woman in the clip was saying, the police don't treat them with respect. In many instances, adults with whom they interact don't treat them with respect. Some don't treat young people with respect. And consequently, they demand it of others who are not as fortunate as themselves, in the sense that the word is used very much as a form of bullying. People demand it not because they deserve it intrinsically, but because they feel they can compel people, bully people, to show them respect.
We've had lots of contact from all our viewers this morning. The sort of repeated message is that respect has to be earned in their view. So how do we change what's going on, perhaps?
Well, when people say that, does that mean that I don't have any respect for you, you have to earn it? Or should I have as much respect for you as possible and allow you to then devalue yourself?
Okay, well, let me put sort of back up to those points then. One of our viewers says, if you want to respect, you work for it, you don't go around your area smashing things up and looting shops. That's how they're taking it on, some viewers at least.
Well, that's fair enough, but this is out of frustration, obviously, because this would have happened, you know, last year or the year before. It's a case of, I think it's a build-up of a lot of frustration and anger, and this is probably the only way they felt that they could be heard. And I think that, you know, the people that way.
You see, I think respect is something that we should all be able to presume. Yeah, it's to do with courtesy, it's to do with good manners, it's to do with all of those values that make us fit for living in civil society. So it's a question of how we ensure that, whether it be adults or young people, those behaviors and those attitudes are imparted so that people feel a sense of being valued themselves and valuing others.
You're right. I would argue there's a sense of certainly courtesy. There's also more to it in terms of perhaps a sense of honour to somebody for what they have done in their standing in society. And I just wondered, people might think that the woman in that first clip we said, you know, we don't respect you because you don't respect us. Well, if you know, it's not just sort of something you can just chuck out there, surely, is it? you have to have done something.
Yeah, but why did she say that? When she said that, what do you think she meant? You don't respect us. So she's probably understood from the student riots, you know, the protests going on there, that, you know, the students already are not getting, they're not being heard. And then now this situation with Mark Duggan occurred, and, you know, obviously it started off as a piece, but escalated, and then has given...
So you think it was her attitude to the policing of those student demonstrations, in the sense she was referring to as well?
Probably, yeah. You could add that as well. But I think, all in all, for a lot of children, they feel like they're not being heard. And then now, you know, they're on school holidays with nowhere to go, nothing to do.
I think it's young people's sense that subservience is demanded of them, and that they do not deserve respect in their own right. So it's a form of bullying by authority in many ways, and that their voices aren't heard. They're not given the sort of respect that they should receive automatically, rather than people believing that somehow or other they should be prepared to stay in that place.
Okay, let's leave it there. Professor Gus John, thank you very much. Maestro, our thanks to you.
And thanks very much for all your